Capital tonight. Well, we have talked a lot on this show about that epic battle that is brewing for control of the state Senate, which of course will have far-reaching implications when it comes to the next round of redistricting. Now, today we got our first glimpse of 4 hotly contested districts, compliments of Siena College. 2 Democratic incumbents are locked in tight races. In the North Country's 48th senatorial district, Senator Darrell Aubertine is just 3 percentage points behind his Republican challenger, Patty Ritchie. Now, most voters have a favorable view of Aubertine, but they prefer Ritchie 48 to 45%. Now, in the 3rd senatorial district on Long Island, incumbent Brian Foley is just a single point ahead of his Republican opponent, Lee Zeldin. The numbers there, 44 to 43. Meanwhile, 2 incumbent Republicans on the Democrats' hit list have commanding leads. In the Capital Region's 44th district, Hugh Farley leads Susan Savage by 18 points. And in the 11th district down in Queens, Frank Padovan is up 24 points over his Democratic challenger, Tony Avella. Now, joining me to talk about today's news is Democratic Senator Jeff Klein. He heads up his party's efforts to retain control of the Senate. Senator Klein, thanks for your time as always.
Always a pleasure, Liz.
It's great to see you. So these polls seem not fantastic for you guys. You actually have a bit of a different view.
Well, you know, polls Liz, are a snapshot in time, and it was very interesting. As soon as the Siena poll came out this morning, I looked up the Siena poll from 2 years ago, and I looked at the Brian Foley race, and I looked at the Darrell Aubertine race, which were also featured by Siena 2 years ago. You had almost identical results. And we know that Brian Foley went on to win by almost 20 points against Cesar Trunzo. And we also know that Darrell Aubertine also won re-election because he was elected in a special election. So I think, you know, there's a long way to go. The campaign season officially begins. And when we look at the incumbent Republicans, you know, Frank Padovan has been polling very, very well for years. And I think what we're going to find, as we always find, that individuals in that district don't really know he's a Republican. I'm going to tell you something, Liz. We're going to make sure everyone in that district, especially the Democrats, know that he is a Republican. And also, he only won last time by 500 votes. You know, so I think it's sort of, I'm not saying it's wrong. I think we need to now get Tony Avella's message out, which we're in the process of doing. And I think at the end of the day, Tony Avella will be the next state senator in that district.
Okay, but the thing is, not this poll per se, but other polls, and we've really been sort of inundated with them at this point. But one of these key indicators is enthusiasm, and the Republicans seem to have much more enthusiasm on their side, and they've got this candidate who is now their standard bearer that they are all wrapping their arms around, or most of them anyway, Carl Palladino. So what's that factor, and how is that going to play in your effort to keep the majority?
Well, so far, you know, one of the strategies, and I don't think it's even a strategy, Liz, I do it because the voters are very sophisticated and smart. They're not espousing the throw the bums out view on things. They're going to look at every race individually, and they're going to determine, do I like my incumbent or do I like the challenger? And that's what they're going to do. And I think we were able to field, I think, a great group of candidates, mostly women, who I think are going to really run a very important message of jobs, lowering taxes, things that the incumbent Republicans couldn't accomplish 44 years in power, needless to say, in the last 2 years. So I think we're going to see the Palladino factor not as important as people think. Because, you know, while Palladino may be popular in certain areas in the state, certainly not in the Padovan district, but I think so. One of the things I'm trying to say is we're going to, I think, see a very localized choice in individual districts voting on who they like better, not only for governor, but on the bottom of the ticket as well.
Well, there's an anti-incumbent sentiment that seems to be cutting both ways, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. But
that's true.
But when it comes to your party, you've got obviously a candidate, Andrew Cuomo. He's now making a much more public stance all over the place, and he has not yet endorsed any Senate candidates to my knowledge. And at this point in 2008, you had a governor, David Patterson, who used to be the Senate Minority Leader, who was raising up to $2 million to help you guys flip the Senate. Where is Andrew Cuomo?
Well, that's not true, but David Patterson never raised us $2 million. I wish he did.
Oh, sorry. He said he was hoping to raise you $2 million.
It was closer to $500,000, $250,000, but who's counting?
Okay.
Andrew Cuomo is going to be an absolutely fantastic standard bearer. He's going to be someone who I think is going to do much better than these polls initially indicate. We're already seeing differences, 30% swings, 6% swings. He's going to do very well. And I think the message that he's talking about of, again, a property tax cap, lowering taxes, ethics reform, are things that we agree with, especially our challenges. So I think it's going to be in his best interest, as well as ours, to work together. We're already in the process of putting together a coordinated field operation statewide, a coordinated GOTV effort, and I think you're going to find the Democrats being united is also going to help our chances, not only in the top of the ticket, but on the bottom of the ticket as well.
But he's been running against Albany. I mean, just today he says Albany, the dysfunction in Albany and the level of corruption is disgusting. I mean, how is that going to...
I think he's tapping into something that's real. Voters are upset. People want change and they want it quickly. And I think our candidates and our incumbents are going to be talking about that same message. So I think he's helping in addressing the problem. The difference is you can say you're mad as hell, Liz, but what are you going to do about it? And I think our candidates are going to show and tell the voters what they're going to do about it.
Now, there's also some other races. There are a couple that some people in the Democratic Party keep telling me are going to be sleepers. So are there any that you want to highlight that were not polled in this particular poll?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we have, I think, a tremendous opportunity in Mike Kaplowitz, Senator Vinnie Leibell's seat against Greg Ball. Mike Kaplowitz is a fiscal conservative, someone who's lowered taxes in Westchester County.
That's someone
who wants to Hudson Valley and Westchester County. He's someone who wants to change pensions and make them less of a burden on the taxpayers. And he's running against Greg Ball, someone who the Republicans spent over $200,000 in a primary to help defeat. So I think that's going to be an interesting race.
Yeah,
Joanne Yepsen running in Saratoga County against Roy McDonald. Roy McDonald is a one-term senator, someone who certainly isn't working that district very hard, someone who hasn't really done a hell of a lot other than become vice president of a bank. He's truly what they would call a part-time state senator. I think that's a race to watch. There's others. Dee Dee Barrett in Columbia County, in those areas. She's an absolutely fantastic candidate.
Senator, though, but the Republicans say that they think they're going to be able to pick up Bill Stakowski's seat. I mean, what do you say about that?
Well, again, the only thing I can say, Tim Kennedy is someone who I think shocked a lot of people. He beat a 28-year incumbent, someone who I think has tremendous momentum now going into the general election against, Jack Quinn, someone who's really playing off his father's popularity and name. And if you really want to talk about, someone who's, or the voters who are fed up with Albany, because by the way, Liz, Palladino grew up in that district, why would you vote for an assembly member who was part of the dysfunction in Albany? Wouldn't you prefer an outsider, a county legislator who wants to go up to Albany and really change things? So I think Tim Kennedy is going to take that seat.
Well, as of right now, you're actually pretty evenly matched in terms of money, so it's going to be interesting, and of course it's going to get very, very competitive. In the meantime, I want to thank you so much, Senator, for joining us this evening.
It's always a pleasure, Liz.
And still to come on Capitol tonight, we will be discussing all of the latest developments on the campaign trail with two people who have seen their fair share of campaigns. Our insiders are coming up next after the break. Please stay with us.